All right. Thank you. Thank you. President Smith, distinguished guests and honorees, parents and students of the class of 2025. As this is my last official role as a Swarthmore College faculty member, I'm very honored to speak here with you tonight. Thank you for inviting me to close this chapter of my career and witness the opening of all of our students. And as I move into retirement and what lies beyond professor and scholar and teacher, I will, like all of you, be engaging in a shift. Perhaps another career, a new role, a different status. In religious studies, we call this shift rite of passage, rites of passage. For you, the students of the 2025 class, graduation is a building up to a rite of passage that all of you will undergo, filled with speeches, magical words, poetry, exhortations, music, song, costumes and robes, and funny flat hats. As you walk across that stage and to the other side, you will become someone else, not what you were just seconds before. You will be transformed. You will receive your very hard-earned and well-deserved degrees and become a graduate of Swarthmore College. And for now, in this time out of time, where we are, I would like for all of us to feel the specialness of this moment, not with a prayer, but with the gift and the blessing of each other's presence. So just for a second, let's just try something. Let us breathe in and ground ourselves in this time and place with presence. Take a breath, please. Students, I want you to feel what you've created together over the years with your peers, your classmates, your beloveds, your mentors and friends. Another breath, please. Recall the pain, the struggles that brought you to this place. Present, and here you are. This is ritual. We, from where we stand as your teachers and parents and guides, observe you as you come and then you leave and you go out into the world. Your parents watch you start new lives. If we're fortunate enough, as I have been, we may even see some of your children return to this place as students. Imagine that. Another breath, please. We have walked this road together, but you will never experience this exactly in the same way. And as you move through this ritual, may you be free to be who you are, free from whatever holds you back. May you have joy. May you have gratitude. Thank you. I want us to consider the rite of passage as something, this is something we like to talk a lot about in religious studies, rituals and ceremonies that accompany births and deaths. Not only the birth and the death of the person in the body, but the birth and the death of roles, statuses, and actions that accompany these traditions. Some of you know the idea of rites of passage comes from the work of a scholar of East African religions, the British anthropologist Victor Turner, who did much of his fieldwork in the realm of indigenous African cultures and practices, as many religionists and anthropologists did at one time or another prior to the postmodern and post-colonial reckoning with such academic habits. Turner and his wife Edith were not simply Western scholars entering into the primitive, but they became deeply enmeshed in the cultures and the languages and the life worlds of their subjects. So one of the things that Turner observed is that every rite of passage has what he called a threshold, a doorway. And so this is what I want to focus on today, the liminal zone. This liminal place is neither before you graduate, or after. It is one where one is separating from the previous state and entering into something else. I know every one of you feels this. For human beings, Turner observed that this is where identities themselves hang in the balance. So think about it. This is exactly where you are right now. Victor Turner said that the liminal phase was constituted as something very interesting, and he used the phrase betwixt and between. Liminality is ambiguous. It is limbo. It's time out of time. You don't belong to Swarthmore College anymore, but for now in this moment, you kind of do. You're not just reincorporated into what comes next, right? So you're becoming free, in a sense. You, with your classmates and friends, are what the scholar called communitas. Communitas. Intense social togetherness, belonging, even if you don't belong. This really applies to our honor students. God bless you all. You really know what I'm talking about. But communitas is, in fact, characterized by ordeals and tests, all right? It's a space of psychic and physical ambiguity, but it's also the breaking down of cultural norms and rigid social hierarchies. So it can be quite terrifying and freeing at the same time. Again, I think a lot of you know what I'm talking about. So for members of the community, it is a place of unity and solidarity, but also instability. It could be chaotic, like the cleaning out of your room, right? It can be festive and carnivalesque, like senior week. It's an experience of time and space collapsing, but it's also the heady anticipation of something else that is coming. This joy, this fear, this apprehension, this knowing that something special is about to happen, and all that will also be ending. So rites of passage, this is the sort of thing that we teach in our religious studies department. And I've taught in this department for decades now. One of the things that I believe we do is to equip students to enter the world. But the most important lessons that I've received have come from you, the students. We love each other, we protect each other, even when we don't like how the other thinks. This is the true meaning of respect. And this is the meaning and the value of the arts and humanities for nurturing critical, compassionate thought, cultivated ethical reasoning, and the practiced art of truly listening, always striving toward deeper understanding. These are not just academic skills, but essential capacities for navigating our diverse and interconnected world, where all too often we feel separate, alienated, and alone from the family that we are all a part of. And yet, even with the most extraordinary colleagues and friends in the Department of Religion, I've been aware that much of this campus still wonders what it is we do over there on that side of campus at the edge near our historic 19th century Friends Meeting House. Many of our students have never taken a course in religion, comparative religion, although many students have created wonderful combinations of the major in creative and extraordinary ways. So for better or worse today, I would just like to argue that the study of religion rooted in arts and humanities finds itself under political and cultural scrutiny. These critiques reflect a deeper skepticism that the arts and the humanities, and indeed the liberal arts, no longer offer a valuable or valued educational experience. Critics sometimes argue that liberal arts program, including religious studies, advance partisan agendas. This perception has fueled skepticism about the objectivity and the value of disciplines like ours and the liberal arts project in general. Colleges have been accused of indoctrination. Faculty have faced public pressure and personal attack. Some have been targeted, included here at Swarthmore. Organizations have launched professor watch lists. These campaigns are not debate, though. They are acts of intimidation that are meant to silence voices in our community. Some of us have found ourselves caught in the crossfire of skepticism and culture war anxieties. On one side is the argument that we failed to redress structural inequities. We failed to live up to our commitment to represent the most marginal voices. We've neglected to decolonize our curriculum or to ground our theoretical and historical perspectives in social justice. On the other side, some have claimed that diversity and inclusion efforts within universities and colleges come at the expense of traditional values and traditional majority perspectives. And these discussions, as you all know, have touched everything from curriculum to campus protest. They've sparked intense debate about academic freedom and the limits of higher education. Supporters frame the need for action as necessary corrections. Critics see them as ideologically driven overreach and political interference. And either way, they raise urgent questions about who gets to decide what gets taught, who gets to speak, and are all voices equal? So, of course, I don't have answers to a lot of this, but I can say this and underline the point that others have made, that here at Swarthmore College, collaborative teaching and learning can foster mutual respect and intellectual courage. All of you need to own this. That courage will be asked of you now. As graduates, your responsibility will be to ask hard questions, to remain vigilant, and to speak with care and clarity in a world that is increasingly suspicious of complexity. If the arts and humanities didn't matter, no one would fight over them. These fields raise questions about authority, meaning, and the stakes of civic life. And at the heart of this, I think, is a struggle over ideas in the classroom. And these are the very things the students at Swarthmore, and in my classroom at least, have enjoyed wrestling with together for 30 years. So in the time that I have left, I just want to share with absolute gratitude how this place, specifically our religion classroom, has created a space that allows for the cultivation of trust and collaboration, which is the healing medicine for cynicism, and the rejection of the poisonous nihilism of separation. We're not separate from each other. We're not. So I would reassure you that the study of religion teaches us to question received truths, but not to dissuade us from our innermost spiritual longings. So just really quickly, I want to do a little humble bragging. For the past 30 years, I've taught courses about religion and about religions. Those of you who've taken the course know that there's religion and there's religions. Think about it. But from the start, curiosity has bound us together to enjoy the blessings of the shared intellectual progress project. And this is what Cornel West has called the cultivation of the life of the mind. The cultivation of the life of the mind. We feel our way into this. So in my food and religion class, and this was my favorite class of all, this is the first year seminar, we come together for an experiment, not just to eat. And I think a lot of students think, oh, we're just going to eat. This is what we're going to grub down this semester. But we do. But what we also experience is what we have in common through working through this thing that we call religion. And in my classroom, and in many of our classrooms here, students come from the far reaches of the globe, different backgrounds, spiritual affiliations, different skills and abilities. Some of my students were atheists, some were Buddhists, some were free thinkers, some were Wiccans, some were evangelicals, some were Muslims. We read entire books that theorized religion. We made cookies and crackers in the original style of the Protestant health reformer in the 19th century, Sylvester Graham. You didn't know that a Protestant reformer invented the graham cracker, did you? Okay, this is important. We crafted sweet, sticky pyramids of Sephardic harosis for Passover. We gobbled down tasty bean pies from the African-American sisters at the Nation of Islam, and we reverently offered our gifts of pan de muerto at the altars and installations on campus for the Day of the Dead and All Souls Day in late October. Our Buddhist advisor at the Interfaith Center, Ho-Chin Park, led us through the meditation practice with reverent compassion, loving kindness, and mindful nourishment. In the course on magic and religion, we experienced folk healing from visiting practitioners of Pennsylvania German Dutch powwow traditions. We learned about Jewish magic from Dr. Weiss from the Temple of Miriam. Students made sigils and good luck charms and calculated their efficacy. We argued over the meaning of miracles and the science of prayer. We built digital humanities archives. We collaborated across religions and cultures in the classroom. And in film and religion, students explored sacred depictions in the 20th century Hollywood films. And speaking of films, I know some of you did see the Ryan Coogler Film Centers, and I had a small hand in that, but you probably don't know that a former Swarthmore religion student was one of the consultants for the Fortnite crossover for Warner Brothers. Way cool, because there are things that you can do with what we learn here in the arts and humanities. Swarthmore religion students have attended Latter-day Saints temple services, they've danced at Haitian Vodou ceremonies, they've explored Quaker stories. And Quakers, of course, have a distinctive history in this area. Swarthmore sits as one of the stations of the Underground Railroad, and the Friends were some of the earliest and most radical and progressive anti-slavery advocates of any religious denomination in early America. And as you know from its founding, Swarthmore admitted men and women on equal terms. And so, this is the Quaker background is certainly the commitment to gender equality is a hallmark of this heritage. But one of the most profound and meaningful experiences for me, and I believe the students, occurred years ago when a teacher and scholar at this college, Professor Sahed Adshan, someone who inhabits the Quaker spiritual values that he professes in thought, word, and deed, he offered a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to join a teaching and learning tour through Israel and the West Bank, Palestine. This was the first off-campus trip of its kind to be undertaken by Swarthmore College. And this was no vapid Holy Land bus pilgrimage. Our students, a vivid mix of backgrounds, faiths, race, and gender identities, were exemplary cultural ambassadors. They rose to the occasion in one of the most complex and difficult zones of conflict with generosity, curiosity, openness to dialogue, and with mutual support of each other. Once again, our students led the way, embodying Swarthmore's core commitments: intellectual curiosity, a commitment to truth, and the courage to engage difficult and painful questions with empathy and understanding. You do this so well. I'm actually very moved. You do this so well. But singularly, the thing that I love to teach the most and learn about has been the story of African Americans, a people of faith, a religious people. I think of two brothers, James Weldon Johnson and John Rosamond Johnson, and these are sons of the South, two young Black men who were artists and humanists. And these brothers believed that the elevation of a people lay not solely in politics or protest, but in the power of the mind and the refinement of the spirit. Many of our students, cut from the same cloth, have carried this idea. Like you, the Johnsons were organic intellectuals who believed that beauty is essential to freedom. Beauty is essential to freedom. So one of the Johnson brothers, some of you may know, wrote the words, the other composed the music for what would become a hymn of a people more than 100 years ago at the turn of the 20th century. Here's some of the words. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope on board had died, yet with a steady beat, have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. And this is called the Negro National Anthem. Again, in this region lies a beacon of this inheritance. Philadelphia, some of you may know, is the birthplace of the Black church in America, the first independent Black denomination established in the late 18th century, the first church to lead a civil rights walkout in American history in the late 1700s. And this is a place that our class has visited every year that I have taught the course. So there has been for me, as always, for all faculty, and this is the open secret, we enjoy the things that we get from you, the things that we learn from you. I appreciate all the plays and performances that you've invited me to, the tennis and lacrosse competitions, even when you left class early. The things you asked me to support, things like we no longer do here, like the co-ed Dash for Cash, a tradition that consisted of rugby team members butt naked as the day they were born, except for a fine coating of glitter, yeeting all the way from the top of Parish down to the bottom. It was a student who introduced me to the joys of Doc Martens and to chocolate chip decadent from Insomnia cookies, to Pokemon Go, and my very first Ninjagram, which I still have in my office. So briefly, I just want to extend the blessing back to you and for you to bless each other. And most importantly, I want you to recognize that this is the liminal phase, class of 2025. You stand in that luminous threshold that Turner described. May you carry forth both the humility of the Quaker spirit we honor and the wonder of every rite of passage you have and ever will live. I'd like us to bless each other. In Western Christianity, the idea is that blessing flows from God to person, often through a priest or a spiritual functionary, to those who are part of the community. In Native American religions, blessings arise from relationships between people, the living and the dead, and all that is. It is more of a horizontal expression. Blessings serve in both of these, not only for giving something, but for affirming connection. So I want to leave you with a blessing and an admonition. And this one is from the Orisha religion of the Yoruba people of Nigeria. The Orisha religion is the first indigenous African religion to come into the 21st century as a global religion, where on every continent you will find devotees of different denominations and communities worldwide. The Yoruba language gives us a concept that captures the power of what we are looking ahead to. It's called Ashe. Ashe is a subjunctive idea. In Yoruba philosophical thought, it means the power to make things happen. It is the understanding that actions and thoughts cause change in the outer world by virtue of internal impetus. Ashe. It is a vital force given to all beings and things, like the ki, the animating energy in Chinese thought, the ruach, Elohim, the divine wind moving across the face of the deep. Ashe is said to be the cosmic essence that allows the divine will to manifest. So for now, please, we may think of Ashe as the authority and responsibility that is given to each of you to speak the world into being. It is the command, it is the invocation, it is the closing, it is the opening. This is the kind of magic we can all get with. For those of you who prefer more cultural, familiar references, think of everyone's favorite philosopher, Captain Jean-Luc Picard from Star Trek. What did he say? He said, make it so, right? Ashe, make it so. So to you, graduates of the class of 2025, I say to all of you tonight, with bountiful blessing and with gratitude as you move from that liminal space to something new, something that you have not yet created, make it so. So let's close in the traditional call and response of the African diaspora and say together, so let it be, Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. Thank you.